Hi, in this lecture we will learn some new and fancier data types, composite data types. Up to now we learned some simple data types. Let's remember one of our examples and talk on that. We simply store a value inside of our variable and use that. For example, in here we get the name, salary columns into our variables and use that in our DBMS output. These variables are called as scalar variables and the data type is scalar data type. We know these already. What if we need more columns? Let's say 2 more columns. What will we do for that? We can add 2 more variables. What if we need 10 more? Will we add 10 more variables? Or 100? Of course not. And for more, in this example, we did only one row select. The data of our employee with the ID of 130. What if we want to get 10 employees data or 100? Will we create 100 times of our variables? Absolutely not. Right at that point, we use composite data types. Let's first talk about how our variables are held in the system. All our variables are held in the PGA in the database system. PGA stands for the Program Global Area. We have our own areas in database system and our variables and composite type of data that we will learn now are kept in PGA until their scope finishes. PGA is in the memory and we can reach that much faster than a data in the database. Now, let's talk about the composite data types. Composite data types are designed for holding multiple values in one box. We have 2 different types of composite data types for different usages: records and collections. Let's explain them a bit for now. In the example here, we know we have 3 variables. These can be at the same data type or in different types. Like a row in a database, records can hold many values with same or different types in it. We can either create a record with showing a database table structure, or we can create our own record type with specifying variables in it. Records are single row but multiple variable values. We will see in details. Collections are a bit more detailed. In a record, we can store only one row values, but with collections, we can store multiple row values like lists in other programming languages. Collections have 3 types to store data. Actually, these are pretty similar but with little differences. The first one is PLSQL nested tables. This collection type is to store variables with indexes starting from 1 and increasing sequentially. We can think that as key value pairs. Actually, all collections can be considered as key value pairs, but in nested tables, this key starts exactly from 1 and increases one by one. Other languages start from 0 generally to index their collections, but PLSQL starts from 1. Do not mix that up. Besides, this collection is unbounded. That means you don't specify how many rows it will have when you declare it. When you add 1, a new room is allocated for a new value. But the second collection type, VArray, is bounded. It still has index ID starting from 1 just like nested tables, but you need to specify exact number of rows when you declare it. And you cannot change this limit later. The third collection type is associative arrays, also known as index by arrays. This is also similar with the others, but the difference is you can assign any numbers for the index values. It does not need to start from 1 and it does not need to be sequential, even it does not need to be a positive number. It can be a negative or 0. Any value of PLSQL integer type is valid. Besides, we can use strings as IDs with this collection type. This is also really useful. This type is fancier than the others. We will use that most of the times. I can create a better type with using these collections and records together. Actually, not a type, but we can think that like so. In the previous schemas, I showed you these collections with only one variable, a key and a value with one variable. But we can use all these collections with records. I mean, we can add records in it. With this way, we will have a list of rows just like a table. Because of that, this usage is called as in-memory tables. We will mostly use that in real life, but the others are also used in so many times too. We can use the records and collections in our select statements, DML statements, and anywhere in our PL/SQL code. These are really useful types, and if you use them, it will ease your code so much. In the next lectures, I will show you how to use them, but some usages like using in procedures, etc. will be shown in that subject. So, why and where to use them? You will use composite data types when you need to operate some related data like information of an employee. With this way, you can easily access, modify, and transport the data. Can you do the same things with scalar variables? Sometimes can, but sometimes cannot. In either way, the collections will be much more efficient and capable. So which one to choose? We will use PL/SQL records when we want to store some related values with the same or generally with different data types, but as one row, just like storing the details of one employee. We will use PL/SQL collections when we want to store values of same data types, but this time it will be more than one row. The data in it can be in one type or can be a record. We choose nested tables when the values of our indexes are not important, because it will be an incremental value starting from 1. We will choose vararrays when we want to do the same thing with the nested tables, but when we want that it will be bounded. I want that this collection must not exceed the specified number of rows. vararrays are bounded, but nested tables are not bounded. This is only difference between them. We will choose associative arrays when the index values are important or meaningful for us. It can be any number value or it can be any string. For example, we can say that the details of employee Alex is this record. I use Alex for the ID or the index. This is really useful collection usage. Alright, in this lecture I try to explain what are records and collections, why and where to use them, and which one to choose. I will show you how to use them in next lectures with details. So this is the end of the lecture. See you in the next lessons.